Okay, so let's just review some of that vocabulary we saw in the video. The first one being diameter, right? So diameter, Lady Diameter, she reached the full length of the circle across the center point, and that's really our definition of a diameter, right? So it's the length through, and this part's particularly important, through the center point of a circle. Okay. And when we look at a diameter, we see it goes through that center point of the circle and it has two endpoints on the circle. Okay. One of the other vocabulary words we saw in the book was the word radius, which we noticed in the book, it showed us that the radius was exactly half the height of his mother, Diameter, when she was reaching across the table. So our radius is half the length of the diameter. I don't know why I wrote an H. Half the length of the diameter. Okay? And the radius goes from the midpoint to an endpoint on the circle. It doesn't necessarily have to be along the diameter. There are infinitely many radii in a circle, as well as there are infinitely many diameters in the circle, depending on how you rotate it through the midpoint. Okay, so just to go over it again, the relationship between our diameter and radius, we could say that the diameter is, so if I use D for diameter, we could say that the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. Or if we're talking about the radius specifically, we could say that the radius is half the length of the diameter. And that relationship is important to know and to be able to go quickly back and forth between it. Okay. Then we also spoke about our circumference, one of our heroes in our story. And we named that for the distance around the edge of a circle. So circumference is almost like our perimeter, where it's that distance around the outside, but it's specific to a circle. So circumference is that distance around the edge of a circle. And we have 2 formulas for that. And this is where we start using that special symbol pi. Okay, we can define the circumference based on the diameter, where we say circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. Or we can say that circumference is equal to 2 pi r. 2 times pi times the radius, because 2 times the radius gives us the diameter. Let's just do a couple of practice problems here. So the first one is we have a circle. We're told the diameter is 6 centimeters. Let's identify the radius. Okay, so we know radius is half the diameter. Well, the diameter is 6, so the radius is half of 6, which would be 3. So the radius is 3 centimeters. Okay. Now, as we go to the circumference, it gets a little more complicated because we have pi in our problem. We're going to use our circumference formula. I'm going to say let's use the formula circumference equals pi times diameter here. Okay. We know the diameter from the given. It is 6 centimeters, so I'm just going to substitute that in for D where it says diameter. So put 6 in there. Now, if we just rearrange this and write 6 as a coefficient, this is technically an answer to our problem. Okay, this is an acceptable answer. This is what we call leaving an answer in terms of pi. And that's my favorite because now we're done. We don't even have to do any calculations. But if we are going to find our calculation using the calculator, using the pi button, what we want to do here, and I'll show you here, I'll talk through the steps. What we're going to do is we're going to take 6, we're going to push times, and then we're going to find our pi button. So in the Casio calculator, it's here above the EXP. We're going to hit shift, because I have to hit shift to access it. On the TI calculator, I think it's just there, the pi button, I hit equals, and it gives me a big long number, 18.8449. I'm going to write that down, 18.8495592. And let's round to the nearest hundredth. So we're going to say the circumference is 18.85 centimeters, and circumference is a linear unit. Our next problem, we're given a circle. The radius is 4 inches. We're asked to find the diameter and then the circumference. When finding the diameter, we want to remember that relationship that the diameter is 2 times the radius. So the diameter is going to be 2 times 4. Our diameter is going to be 8 inches. There we go. Okay. And this time for our circumference, let's say leave answer in terms of pi. So finding our circumference, let's use that circumference formula of pi times diameter. Okay, we found our diameter was 8, so we'll substitute that in, times 8. Now leave in terms of pi, I'm going to leave the pi symbol so I don't need my calculator. Just rewrite it as a coefficient, 8 pi. Put our units there, inches, and box that answer. We are done. Our last practice problem, same circle, radius is 4 inches, but this time we're asked to find the area. So that's space inside the circle, and this has a different formula. The formula for area of a circle is pi r squared. Area equals pi times the radius squared. We know the radius is 4. So we're going to substitute in. Remember, whenever we substitute in, we use parentheses. So area equals pi times 4 squared. PEMDAS, our order of operations, says we have to do exponents before we multiply. So we're going to do 4 squared. And we should just know that 16 doing 4 times 4 or using the exponent button on your calculator. Okay, so we'll get pi times 16. And if we want to leave our answer in terms of pi, we would say 16 pi, then put our unit. Area is a square unit, so it would be inches square. So that's our answer in terms of pi. If we were asked to, let's say, round to the nearest tenth, then we would need to take our calculator and multiply. So this time I'll talk through on the TI calculator. I'm going to do 16 times, and then our pi button, which is right there, push equals, and it gives me 16 pi. So I have to push this double arrow button here above the enter button, and then it gives me the answer that's not in terms of pi. So for us, that's going to be 50.265482446. And if we round to the nearest tenth, that'll be 50.3 inches squared. Okay? Hope this helps with tomorrow's regular math class lesson of circles.